Good morning, everybody. It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads, fathers, and male caregivers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that team, have reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. And as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We are broadcasting live. Yes, it's May, the first Friday in May. We actually got to May. After some of the stuff that went on this week, I didn't know if we were going to get to May, but we are finally here. And how are you finding the year going? Slow? Fast, quick, not too quick. I feel that, I don't know, parts of it, like last month, I thought was going very slow. Parts of it was just going really quick. Chatting with a number of different people to say, hey, the year's going by so fast. Or only January, February, March, April. We're quarter of the way done. Quarter of the way done already. So it's going right quick. Hope everyone is safe, whether you're watching it live or on the replay. And we've got Fitnance IQ Cam saying, morning. Good morning, Fitnance IQ Cam. Hope you are keeping fine and safe. How has everyone's week been? It's been quite the week in at least Canada and even in Toronto. Let me regress a bit. In the Toronto area on Wednesday. Well, let's go back to Monday. Well, we're going to talk about the election a little bit in a few moments, but just Monday was quite the day for the Morning Vibe and Dr. Vibe. We had Mr. Medford on, who's a freelance journalist, talking about the election. And I want to say thank you for everyone who watched. We had an incredible amount of views live and on the replay of that conversation. Great. And that evening with Cesar Nadima Musa and our friend, Mr. Wayne Harris, who's coming up in a few minutes. We were on for a number of hours dissecting the Canadian election. We're going to get to that in just a moment. Then, was it Wednesday or Thursday? Wednesday afternoon around 6 o'clock, we had a really combination wind, rain, thunderstorm, depending where you lived, happened in Toronto. I lost power from about 6 o'clock till about 9:30 that night. No power. And it's the first time I think it was more a wind power outage than rain or snow or something, some other weather calamity. Okay, no problem. Get the power back about 9:30. Get up the next morning, power's out again. I'm going, what's going on here? So I went on the Toronto Hydro app and saw outage, only affecting about 60 houses in the neighborhood that I'm in. We didn't get power back till 7:30 that night. Basically, in a 24-hour span, the only time I had power was when I was sleeping. That was the only time I had power. But and I believe the second power outage on the other side of the street, or the crescent where I live on, the other crescent, I think someone was cutting down a tree and it may have hit some wires. Not 100% sure. But it was a really, and people were saying, how did you survive without power, without internet? You know what? I actually had some chance to do some cleaning around the house, especially since it was daytime. Used the daylight to clean around the house, got some things done, which was really good. How was everyone else's week? Was it as boring as mine? Oh, Fitness IQ is saying, was it Tuesday? The storm? Yeah, I guess it was. Fitness IQ said, me left me yard. Yes, you left your yard. Destiny Savary, morning from Niagara Falls. Good morning, Destiny. I hope things are... Destiny, are you permanently residing now in Niagara Falls? Because anytime you come on in the comments, you're saying you're from Niagara Falls. Are you living proper there now? Just curious. Yeah, so we've had a very... so we're into a new month. It doesn't feel like 4 months. Oh, Fitness IQ Cam goes, a power outage during tax season. I think not. We may actually get to chatting about tax. Okay, good stuff. All right. Yeah, during tax season, we're going to be maybe chatting about that today also. Ryan, I don't think is going to be with us today. He is helping out at an event called Branded TO, which is aimed at young, I believe, Black entrepreneurs. He texted me yesterday saying if I could help out today, and I am fully booked up today. Got a lot of things on the go, so unfortunately, I cannot make it. But hopefully we'll have Ryan back on Monday. Yeah. So quite a week. Elections, storms, crazy things going on as always in the United States. 47. Just a little thing. I don't know if anyone's familiar with a PBS in the United States and NPR. Those are, I guess, independent. PBS is independent television network. NPR is an independent radio network, both under the same umbrella. 47 now has put in an executive order saying he wants to cut government funding to both those properties. And he's saying basically the reason why he says their programming is leftist, it's anti-American, etc., etc. So he is looking to basically cut anything that he doesn't like. He wants it cut out, demolished, etc. The man is not joking with his executive orders. Now, I'm sure there'll probably be stuffs in the courts, etc. There's so much stuff going on there. Again, here in Canada with our election, we have a very interesting landscape. And I know Wayne in a few moments, I think, will not only give a political lens, but also a social lens and an economic lens to the results. And if you are living in Canada, even if you're living outside of Canada, it'll be interesting to hear what he has to say about that, especially in regards to the economic end of it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to a break. And when we come back, we will have Mr. Wayne Harris back for First Financial Fridays on the Morning Vibe. So give me a second and we will be right back with Mr. Wayne Harris. But get ready for this next week.
Five Blacks Restaurant Week, an amazing week, a flavorful week. We are eating good.
It's a national campaign created to promote Black-owned Canadian cuisine, food trucks, pop-up kitchens, and chefs.
Go out, taste the food, enjoy it, and get to know us and to get to know our culture.
Puts the spotlight on Black-owned dining establishments right across the country, not just here.
Yes, it's coming. It's coming. Buy Blacks Restaurant Week. It is going to be running from Monday, May 12th, 2025 to Sunday, May 18th, 2025. Coming up. And next week on Monday and Friday, we will be featuring some of the restaurants that are participating in Buy Blacks Restaurant Week. If you want to get a little inside on some of the food that's going to be served, check it in next week. All right. As always, subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. We're not at 1,800 subscribers yet. What's going on, family? Now, I know I'm counting that if you're watching this right now, you're already a subscriber to the YouTube channel. If you're not, please check it out. If you're up to it, please subscribe to the YouTube channel or tell other people about it. Would like to get to 1,800 subscribers. I was speaking that we would have it by the beginning of this month. Not yet. Okay, no problem. Also, follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Join the Morning Vibe Discord group. Email me at dr.vibe at the dr, VIBESHOW, or click on the link that's in the lower third right there to advertise your business, product, or service on the show. Please email me, dr.vibe at the dr, VIBESHOW.com. And finally, Indie Soup TV, powered by our good friend Dr. Tachi out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Independent Content Creators Network, about 25 independent content creators. And this is where you can see them on YouTube. This is where you can see them website-wise. And I think they're now at 26,000 subscribers on YouTube. And that's still just over a year, which is absolutely fantastic. All right. He is back. He's been here First Fridays for a while now, and he has a hard stop. He can't go extra long today, But let's bring him on the stage. Mr. Wayne Harris, what is going on?
All good, doctor. How are you?
Outstanding, outstanding. How has the week been?
You know what? Sunday, I walked outside with a t-shirt.
Here we go. Here we go. Yeah.
And yesterday, I had, a raincoat on like I was Captain Highliner back in the day. So it's up and down. I'm like, I want to cut my grass, but it's too soon. I need to add some grass seed, but I got to rake first. But it's raining. It's out of control.
Yeah, actually, I cut my lawn. I think it was Wednesday. It was really warm on was it Tuesday or Wednesday? I think it was Tuesday. It was really warm. I said, you know what? Let me go cut it because it just didn't look good. I said, I don't know when we're gonna have another warm day. Let me take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And it happened. But yeah, can we have 4 good spring weather days this year?
No, I don't think so. And I knew, I woke up today. I saw the rain yesterday. I'm like, okay, this is good for the grass. It's good. I'm good with that. April showers bring May flowers and all that good stuff. So I'm down with that. Let Mother Nature do. Let her cook. But I'm like, okay. So do I wash my car? Do I not wash my car?
Exactly.
There's a little bit of pollen coming now on the cars as well.
Yeah, actually, I was speaking with someone last night. For those who were around last night, I did a hanging out with Dr. Vibe. And one of the students that was working with me over the last few months came in. We just chatted about, since the pollen is starting to hit.
Mm-hmm.
Pollen is starting to hit. And I said, oh, good. And I can somewhat relate. My dad, when he was younger, he used to be a summer camp counselor. And he would always have to go for his allergy needles every summer. I don't have any allergies, thank goodness, but they say, if anyone in your family heritage has had it, you have a good chance of getting it too. So I'm clean. Yourself, you have hay fever?
It's bare allergies. But when I was, I'm allergic to all nuts and all seafood. Imagine a Bajan who can't eat cuckoo and flying fish. I'm having cuckoo and bully beef, cuckoo and pork chops, cuckoo and steak. I'm having cuckoo and everything but flying fish. It was rough as a kid.
Not good.
My daughter's a sushi head. She loves sushi and
nice.
Can't do any of that stuff either.
Family good?
Family's good, buddy. Everybody's good. I'm rocking the York University for my son. One of his gifts to me.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
He's a good man.
Well, I'm speaking one day. We're going to have him on this platform because I know his perspectives would be, especially now, would be very valuable.
He is in the mix and on top of all that economic game.
Excellent. Let's see. Look who is in the house. Heather Harris is in the house. Says, good morning, gentlemen, at the gym. So listening off and on. Actually, you know what? I haven't gone to a gym in a long time.
Yeah. People are still filthy. People are still filthy, Dr. Vibe. Wipe down your machine. Hey, that's all I ask you to do. Wipe it down, eh?
Oh, I haven't been, and I've been there was a time I used to go to the gym at 6 o'clock every morning, and by 7, and that was the way I started my day, and I felt so energized, and I'm trying to push myself to get back in, because once I do it for a few days, it's in me. But I know you go to the gym yourself.
I was there this morning.
Wow. And I've got equipment at home. I got a treadmill and I've got a bike at home.
Oh, listen, guy. I've got a fridge at home. That's why I don't work out at home. There's no fridge at the gym, Dr. Vibe.
This is true. I love that.
That's my logo. If I get a tattoo, it says there's no fridge at the gym.
Okay, well, check me to see if I'm going, because I know you're a person who will get me on accountability. Fitness IQ Camp says #1 rule: wipe it down.
That's all I ask. And they give you the sanitizer and they give you the paper towel.
Yeah,
it's free.
Oh my gosh! All right, well, I know we have you for not as long as we usually do today, so let's kick it off. The Canadian federal election. Your thoughts from a political and economic side?
Well, let me tell you, if you had told me in December of 2024 that we would have a new prime minister and that person would be a liberal, I would have said, no way in. Beep. No way. If you had told me that. If you had told me in January 2025 that we were going to prorogue Parliament, Trudeau would step down, and they would look for a new leader, all the while Trump was just doing what he does in the United States, and Canada would be sitting on the sidelines watching and being affected by everything he did on a regular basis, and the stock market just taking a beating after the Trump bump. The stock market was happy that he was coming in, and the good times are going to roll again. Listen, I watched that election with you.
Yep.
On Monday.
Yep.
And I was just talking to my brethren in Calgary, and I said, it was over. I voted at 9:15, and it was over at 10:15. I said, how do you guys feel in Alberta? He goes, we're out. We're leaving this country. It's over. Right? So the perspective for your wallet is this. Listen, if you're in debt, the country's in debt, so you're in good company. If you're if you're spending more than you earn, the country is doing the same thing. We have a politician in power who is a Harvard graduate, an Oxford graduate, the leader of the governor of the Bank of Canada, governor of the Bank of England, a member of the World Economic Forum, a very educated man, and his credentials speak for themselves. The question you have to ask yourself is this: will life in Canada be easier for you or simpler for you 12 months from today? And I don't know the answer to that question, but it sounds like not much will change from the last government to the new government. If the rumors are true that he was the advisor to the prime minister for the last 5 years. So debt is the devil, and your job is to, as the landscape shifts on you, in terms of if you have anything to do with the supply chain of raw materials coming from this country going to the United States, anything to do with that supply chain, that vertical supply chain, from driving a truck to the States, to the goods that are going to be in those trucks, to manufacturing those goods or cutting them down or digging them out, whatever you're doing, if you're in that supply chain, you are on red alert. Red alert. If you have debt, you need to try to get it paid off. There are things you can do to consolidate that. Reach out to your boy. I've got some solutions for that. Because rather than having 15 or 16 payments all over the place and paying minimums, why not get everything into one debt? The interest rate may not be super low, but it will be lower than the credit card debt, and use that to get yourself to the next level.
Let me ask, just going back to the political end a little bit, you think things won't change much. Is that because the Liberal government didn't win a majority?
Yeah, there's two parties that can help the Liberals. The NDP with their 6 or 7 seats, and the Bloc Québécois with a new seat that was recounted the other day.
Yes.
And they're at 23 seats. So the Bloc really controls the Liberals' ability to move or not move. Now, the Bloc is for one constituency only, and that is Quebec. It's not going to help the people out west, not going to help the people in Ontario, it's not going to help the Maritimes, it's going to help Quebec. That's their mandate. That's the reason they're there. So I don't know how this is going to help the country when their bias by design is to help Quebec. Now, being a former Quebecer, born and raised, I'm down with Quebec taking care of Quebec, but that doesn't serve me in Ontario today. Go ahead.
Then okay, now the way I've calculated, liberals only need the NDP or the bloc,
Correct.
whereas even the conservatives, even if they got the bloc, the NDP, which would probably never happen, probably
Correct.
never, and that they don't have enough total to go over. So, do you feel Carney seems to be more of a center liberal than a left liberal?
I don't know if that's true. It
Yeah,
looks
well,
like
this is the thing.
on paper, you might be correct, but based on the last 5 years and the policies that he was helping to drive in the background, he might be as left as Trudeau. Don't know. We'll see.
Did you feel during the election that people voted more about 47 than things like housing, economics, per se?
1,000%. I think Poilievre allowed the media to dictate what the terms of the election were going to be. And because of the premiers running down to the states to handle business for themselves, because Parliament was prorogued, they kind of had to do something. I'm not sure if they did the right thing, because what they did was just antagonize the situation, what it seems like, because the tariffs came anyway. But I think that the Liberals have a track record. It is what it is. The fact that the sound bites coming from the Conservatives were not focused on that track record. Are we going to build more houses now with the existing government and some of the same cabinet members that we had before that couldn't build houses? Are we going to build more houses now? Is a pipeline that needs to go from Alberta to Vancouver, and a pipeline needs to come east all the way to the East Coast so we can sell our natural resources to the eastern bloc through the west, get to Asia through the west, and get to Europe through the east? Is that pipeline going to get built? Is the train that needs to go from Quebec City to Montreal to Toronto to get people, a high-speed train to get people to Montreal in 2 hours, is that going to be built with this Liberal government that has been in power for 10 years and got nothing built? You have to look, I'm all about the receipts, Dr. Vibe.
I know.
So if no houses are going to be built, if the courts and the judges are going to let people out, and you saw what happened in Vancouver just the other day in the Filipino community. This person was under care, and they were released, and they got a car, and they went on and killed 11 people. Now, causation. Is it the fact that he was under care and mentally ill, but you didn't have the bed, so they let him out? If you let someone out who is under that kind of care and you're doing the analysis, should they have a driver's license? I don't know. I don't know enough about it. But what I'm saying is, we see every time I hear a report about someone doing something dastardly in this country, the second thing I hear is they were on bail. They were on parole.
Yeah.
This is what I hear. I go, so why aren't they where they need to be to not cause harm?
All right. Just want to interrupt a few things. Want to catch up on some comments here. So going back a little bit, C Nurse K says, morning all, allergies are brutal. Yes, they are. Also, Fitness IQ Cam says, Dr. Vibe, how about starting tomorrow going to the gym? I'd like to, but I actually have to do a session tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning for a group of men. Maybe tomorrow afternoon or maybe Sunday. Heather Harris says, if you are in that class, probably speaking of Carney's class, you are good. And she also says he will preserve his class. Mignon Cam, good morning. Mignon Cam says 47 bait them in, and Canada fell for it. Heather says, research shows that certain ethnic groups are permitted to get the position and then build a track record, a privilege not afforded to other ethnic groups. And then also, Mignon Cam says, we have a shortage of mental health supports. The waiting list is over 4 years for me. All right. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask, you know me, I like to do audience engagement. Want to put it up here and see people saying, what did you think about the Canadian election? So I'm just going to put the thing up, the engagement piece up quickly. And as you see, Mignon Cam's comment. So if you're watching live on the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube channel, one or two short sentences, and we'll keep you up to date on how that is going. Wayne, then you mentioned there's got to have to be a hard pill somewhere that Canadians are going to have to swallow if we need to get back to fiscal responsibility. You mentioned about, these events that happen, people have been admitted out. I hear a lot of people saying that, even with the healthcare system, they're not keeping people in and out. They just can't afford it because the money isn't there. Are Canadians ready to swallow that pill?
They're swallowing it right now. People have to be strategic about their healthcare. That if you go to the hospital at night on a weekend, on a Saturday night, let's say you go to the hospital Saturday night, and you don't have something, impaling you or something that's dire, you might be there till Sunday afternoon or Monday.
Yeah.
Now that's insane for the amount of taxes that we pay in this country, right? We pay a lot of taxes, and we had a lot of people that were let go because they were unwilling to take the vaccination. Qualified people that left the industry said, "No, if I have to take the vaccine in order to keep my job, that's not part of my contract. I'm out." And they package these people out. And for whatever reason, I don't know if it's ego or policy, these people are not being hired back at the numbers. And someone fact checked me. They're not being hired back at the numbers they need to be hired back to get us to the terrible standard we had before they left. So now we're at an even lower bar. So I'm looking at, what do we need to get more nurses? What do we need to get more clinicians? What do we need to do to get more doctors? How do we, without putting people in harm's way, fast track the ability to get doctors qualified to the Canadian standard? And what do we do after these doctors qualify to keep them in the provinces that they got their degrees? Because what I'm hearing is that they'll come, they'll say, yes, I want to be a doctor in Canada. They'll get their paperwork, and then adios amigos, they're gone to Florida or wherever they're going to go. And I understand the incentive to go to a lower tax jurisdiction, especially if it has better weather and you come from a hot country. It's going to be hard for you to tell me that if you go to school in Winnipeg and you get your paperwork that maximum taxes, you would rather be in California, Florida, or Texas, where you could live like a king for half the money. So it's tough for Canada to attract.
With the results of the election, getting back to more of an economic conversation, what do you see for the next year for Canadians when it comes down to economics? And what thoughts do you have on what are best practices? Have they changed from before the election to post-election? And again, also the impact that 47 is still going to have.
Well, the good news is that now that we have a prime minister, and that prime minister has a mandate, be it minority or not, that person now, Carney, can go and negotiate with Trump. Go have your meeting, and Trump knows you're going to be in power for a minute. He couldn't do that before because he wasn't sure he was going to be in power for a minute. Now he knows he's going to be in power for a minute. It doesn't serve the Conservatives or the NDP or the Bloc to bring Carney down in 2025 when there's a clear and present danger from the United States. So they're going to allow...
That's what 47 wants.
Right. So Carney he's on the clock, between now and the end of the year, really, to see what he can do with his team to negotiate some kind of commitment from the United States to not keep the moving target, because the moving target is spooking the stock market. When it spooks the stock market, investors lose money, investors lose confidence. And now the rule of thumb is we are going into soft recession for the growth of less than 1% over the next 2 quarters. So I say we're already in recession, but the pundits are saying soft or mild recession right now with 0.6% growth, which is one of the lowest growth rates in the OECD.
Right.
Okay? So Canada has a lot of work to do. We are very good. We've helped a lot of other countries. We've helped a lot of other wars. We've supported our foreign policy. And again, to be fair to Trudeau, he had a global pandemic that he had to cut checks for that no other prime minister in the last 100 years has had to deal with. Thus, his numbers are skewed very, very high because he had the pandemic to deal with 2020, 2021, 2022. Understood. There's still so much more that we can do as a country because we have 80% of our gross domestic product, GDP, going to the United States. I would love to hear Carney say, listen, the fact that we have an 80% dependency on our livelihood with the United States means we can't be talking about elbows up, right? If someone owns the house you live in, the bed you sleep in, the sheets, and has the soap for the laundry, controls everything, you can't be coming in there talking about I have elbows up, okay? You need to be quiet and listen to the rules of the person who owns the house. America owns 80% of Canada's house. So America, what is it you want? You want 2% for NATO? Hey, we'll give you our 2% for NATO of our GDP, right? We obviously have the money because 80% of it's coming from you. So we're going to give you our NATO commitment. Hey, you want more people at the border? We're going to take care of the southern border to make sure the fentanyl is not getting in. Notice you didn't hear anything about fentanyl in the last 3 months. We're going to take care of the fentanyl, a couple of bags that are coming through. And then we're going to go to the Arctic and take care of the northern border to make sure that nobody's coming across the top of the country, and we're going to defend that. Then you know what we're going to do? We have a few industries that we have to protect because these farmers that are making our milk and eggs and butter and certain things that we do in Canada, that's supply management. We're protecting these industries because if these farmers go away, the entire economies of these cities goes with them. And then you're either subsidizing supply management or you're subsidizing with welfare. Pick your subsidy. But at least people are working and have a chance. If you flood the Canadian market with American eggs, American milk, American dairy, that doesn't bode well for our domestic market. So certain things are sacred cows. Carney's going to have to say, and I know this is already in place, if the Americans meet the threshold or under the threshold for certain items that want to come across the border, they don't pay any tariffs. But once you cross that border, it could be as high as 300%. And this is true, and it's been there for years. But the Americans have never reached the threshold. So it's like, if you drive at 150, I'll take your car. That's the threat. The government says, hey, we want to suspend your car. You're 50 over. I'm going to take your car, suspend it for 2 weeks, and you're going to lose all your points. Well, if you never drive at 150, you have nothing to worry about. Same thing with the Americans. If you've never reached a threshold, what are we even talking about?
Just some comments here. Good morning, the McMillan Group. Good morning, gentlemen. As always, good to have you, Ray. Heather Harris says, a mandate doesn't equal will. Canadians must be helped in tangible ways. The U.S. administration is not thinking about anyone on the global stage, respects no other country. C Nurse K says, the amount of patients living in acute care and, community hospitals is deplorable. We need more beds and more staff, more monetary compensation. U.S. pays their staff way better. But remember, you pay an arm and a leg for U.S. healthcare compared to here. So yes, the staff is paid more better, but the downside is the patient care is a lot of times not affordable. Also, Wayne, in regards to, and I've heard that Carney is going to be aggressive about this, getting rid of the interprovincial trade barriers.
100%. Listen, there is a wine from the Okanagan. I'm going to probably mispronounce it. Osoyos. It's a red wine. It is fantastic. Okay, that wine you can't get it in Quebec. You can buy it in Ontario, but you can't get it in Quebec. If we have a very small, there are pockets of places you can grow grapes to the level of quality people will want to drink it. We have that in the Niagara region. We have that in the Thousand Islands region in Ontario. They have that in certain parts of Quebec, and they have it in the Okanagan out west. We're making great gins now, great vodkas now, great rye. We've always done rye and whiskey really well. The fact that we can't have this going across, I can't get Screech. Maybe I can get Screech in the LCBO, but I haven't seen any Screech in Quebec. All that needs to be opened up. A plumber in Quebec needs to be able to do work in Ontario and drive back to Quebec. Who gets the money doesn't matter as long as the customer is being serviced. This is a provincial thing, and Doug Ford has started doing that. I believe he has 2 contracts in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick have signed on to break down those barriers. The rest of the country needs to do that as well. And then we're going to be able to help ourselves domestically.
Okay. Minion Camp says, seniors to seniors. Okay, that's why my mother kept licenses for travel nursing and living her best retirement life. There you go. Okay, the McMillan Group goes, not accurate, Dr. Vibe. Gee, the process of assessing healthcare is very different in the US compared to Canada. I can tell you that access is much faster and easier than in Canada. I'm not saying I'm talking about cost. I'm more looking about now maybe I'm wrong about the cost factor, but I hear a lot from people in the US about the cost factor. The access I'm sure is there, but the cost factor, that's where I'm coming from, but maybe I'm wrong there. So game plan for Canadians over the next 6 months to a year, when it based on the current political situation.
Yep. For Canadians, listen, you have to keep your head down. If who's in power at the federal level affects your day to day, you're already at risk. I say you're living Grandmaster Flash. Don't push me because I'm close to the edge. Right? So, whether Carney's in power or Poilievre's in power, you need to do the right things for you and your household, which is, pay your bills on time, pay what you can to ensure that your credit score is as high as possible. Try to get into investments that are beating the cost of living. Now, the cost of living that's posted versus the cost of living that is actual, how much it costs for meat at your grocery store and how much it used to cost. So whether they tell you it's a 2% or 3% inflation, because that's what the Bank of Canada tells you, the real rate of living with this inflation is higher. Now, listen, the gas prices dropped immediately as soon as they got rid of the carbon tax, right? So you think about that. You save 30 cents on gas. It's not the time to go take that 30 cents you save per liter and go buy Starbucks. Right? So let's focus on what we can do now. Gas is cheaper. Good. You just save money. Good. Reallocate that to taking care of debt. Reallocate some of that and put it into your investments. As Mel Robbins was saying, no one's coming to save you. Even if Carney lowers taxes, you're not going to see the effect of that until next year. So what are you going to do in 2025? In 2025, you must have a second source of income.
Yeah.
Listen, I know people who are doing Uber Eats now. You can do that. You're putting wear and tear on your car, and after you do the math of what you're worth per hour, let's say you're worth $20 per hour, and you look at the wear and tear on your car to go deliver those groceries, go for it. Listen, the best thing that ever happened, and we talked about it last time, is if you're going to do Uber Eats, the Leafs are still in the playoffs. Every night the Leafs are playing, you need to be doing Uber Eats because you will get your pockets filled. This is why, I wish the Raptors are still in the playoffs. And the Leafs are there. The Blue Jays are playing. When they have games, you're going to win. Or if your favorite team is playing. If there's a UFC fight going on, map what you're doing to those events, and you have a chance of making some money. But people are going to need to understand that sitting there and waiting for the government to solve your problems for your day-to-day, this is victim mentality. You're going to have to take life by the short and curlies and go out there and make more money doing what you're doing, retool and re-engage. So if you are whatever profession you are, and there's a credential that you can get to put you into a higher income, you need to do so. And if you're not married to where you're living, try to find a jurisdiction that's of a lower cost.
Got it. Just do a quick, and I should have put up, there was a deluge of comments that came up on our our tracker. I'm just going to show, but also I will read the comments here and we'll take them off just for a second. We'll go back to our live comments where the Macmillan Group says the way it's priced here is also very different in regards to healthcare. Drea Rich says, good morning, Dr. Vibe. In response to a previous comment, the healthcare issues are a provincial responsibility and falls under Doug Ford in this province, not the Liberals. C Nurse K says, true, but stating the facts, surgeons are leaving because there is more opportunity to perform surgeries in the U.S. and to make more money. We pay through our taxes. And then Macmillan Group has a question for you. Wayne, how many Black Canadian candidates secured seats, and what do you see their impact as?
Yeah, I don't have that. The person who would have that, I mean, that's probably available. We have First Fridays tonight, so that's a premature question for me. I should know, but Warren Salmon at First Fridays or Roger Dundas at Buy Black should have that information.
I would probably say, well, the funny thing is, you mentioned earlier on in our conversation about the seat that flipped back from Bloc Québécois from the Liberals. The Liberal candidate was a Black person. It's a Black, and it flipped to the Bloc Québécois. I would probably say, Ray, I'm just guessing, probably no more than 10. But for example, Matthew Green from the Hamilton area lost his seat.
Yeah. Did Ron Chisner of the Conservatives at Mississauga Lakeshore, did he win? Anyway, that's something we can maybe have your producer go while we're talking.
Okay, so next we got a comment here. C Nurse K, the third shift at the Oshawa car plant apparently is being cut as a result of the effects of tariffs, etc. I feel for those folks who woke up and no longer have a job.
Yeah, they killed 2 weeks at Stellantis in Brampton and Windsor as well. Shut down those lines because of the tariffs. Listen,
all right,
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Wayne.
Listen, France has cars, Italy has cars, Britain has cars, Russia has cars, United States has cars, Japan, Korea, Vietnam has cars. Why doesn't Canada have a car? Why can't we have nice things? Why can't we not make a Canadian car that's designed for Canadian weather? SUV, all-wheel drive, great on gas with a hybrid engine, heated seats, heated steering wheel, remote starter. Let's go. We know what we need. Why can't we build a car? There's not enough smart people in Canada to figure out how to build a car. Elon Musk came out of nowhere and built Tesla, right? Why can't we build a car up here? We have the technology. We have a battery plant that's being built with billions of dollars from the federal government. Why can't we use that battery plant and build our own cars up here so we don't have to depend on American cars? Would I drive a Canadian car all day, every day? Because I know it's designed for here. When you ask for heated seats, those heated seats will not be Joker heated seats. It'll be real heated because we know what we're dealing with, right? Go ahead.
Right. Mignon Cam says gig workers, Uber, etc., are increasingly organizing and advocating for their rights due to concerns about pay, working conditions, and lack of benefits. And Fitness IQ goes for Canadian weather. Cha! And go ahead.
You know, the Uber Eats and these sort of things that you're doing. We saw what Amazon did in Quebec. As soon as you start trying to organize and try to get unions, all 6 facilities closed down and they just drove over the border to Ontario. We have to find a way to advocate for higher income without the use of a union. I'm not anti-union. I just know that there was about 83% of the jobs were unionized in 1971 and about 17% of the jobs are unionized today. So the unions exist in all 3 levels of government and in the skilled trades. I understand why there's unions in the skilled trades. It's dangerous work. I do not understand why you need to be in a union if you're doing photocopies. It doesn't make any sense to me. And it adds to the cost of the public sector. If the government can't pay you fairly without a union, there's no hope for any employer to do the same. So if the government requires unions, it's telling you that everyone's trying to exploit the labor of the people without giving them a fair wage, and that doesn't make sense. The government of Canada, provinces, and the cities should be able to pay their people a fair wage without having to require a union, because you should be setting the center of excellence for the private sector to mirror you. But if you require unions, I mean, there's no hope.
Okay. So Fitness IQ Cam says paper cuts are deadly.
She's not lying. She's not lying.
Right. Mignon Cam says they are organizing because they feel like they have no other choice to be heard. Canada Post strike is pending for them this month, and that's another thing coming up potentially around the corner.
Yep. The Canada Post has been losing to external threats for years. The first external threat, FedEx, UPS, Purolator, DHL.
Yep.
Okay. Canpar back in the day. That was the first threat. Second threat, fax machine. Third threat, email. Okay. So Canada Post is going to lose because it's designed to do a service that is not unique to itself. So if they were to dissolve Canada Post, I don't think most people would mind, because I can get my packages from anywhere. I can get my mail digitally. The only thing that comes in the mail is my Canadian Tire flyer telling me that I should buy a lawnmower on sale.
It's
most of the things that I get from my box down the street, because they don't even deliver to me at my door anymore. Most of the things I get from down the street is junk mail. Realtors telling me they want to sell my house, and someone telling me to buy something. Windows and doors. So Canada Post, rather than going on strike and fighting for something that is, about to go the way of the dodo bird, they might want to learn how to reinvent themselves to be a catalyst for the Amazons, a catalyst for these other companies, because their mandate is, I have to be able to get this thing to Upper Rubber Boot for the same price as I'm getting it to downtown Toronto. And that doesn't make sense. There needs to be maybe zones. If you're in Toronto, you pay a certain price, which is going to be higher because you have to subsidize Upper Rubber Boot, Ontario, Upper Rubber Boot, Quebec, Upper Rubber Boot, Alberta. These people need to get their mail, and they deserve to get their mail. They're paying taxes to get their mail. But something has to pay for that infrastructure, and we are a big country.
Yeah.
Right? We're a big country, so you got to pay for that service all the way to the top of the country, and that's what's costing Canada Post, because by law they have to be able to deliver that mail at a fair price. A stamp can't cost $4 in Nunavut. It's got to cost the same 85 cents it costs in Toronto, and I think that the economics are not there, and that's on the government. The fact that the union has to go on strike to tell the government to do what you and I both know is logical. You cannot deliver a package in Mississauga for the same price as you're going to deliver it in Whitehorse.
It's not possible.
So if you're going to subsidize Whitehorse, that means the city has to pay. If the city's going to pay, how about the government, who takes taxes from everyone? How about you pay for that subsidy? And that's what the people are fighting for. So I feel for the people who are in Canada Post, just like I feel for the people who have seen for 30 since Datsun came to Canada. Datsun,
wow.
Remember them? Yes.
Wow.
The new school don't know anything about Datsun.
Oh,
right?
wow.
But when Datsun, Toyota, and Honda came here, and they could build a car that would be more reliable than the American cars back then, the writing was on the wall.
Mm-hmm.
If you decide to get out of your bed and walk down to the local plant that's building cars that we know, Consumer Report every year tells you are not great quality. I'm not saying you can't find an American made or North American made car that's not good quality. The Ford F-150 is stolen every day because it's a workhorse. It just gets it done. The Dodge Ram 1500 is stolen every day because it's a workhorse. We build those very well.
Yes.
But if you want to buy a small little commuter car, we don't do that very well. So what we should do is try to get out of all lanes and trying to be all things to all people and get into the lanes where we win. We build SUVs and trucks better than anybody, right? That's what we do.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to stop with the Dodge Chargers and Challengers and the Camaros and all those things. When's the last time you saw a Camaro on the street, Dr. Vibe? A Camaro.
long time, and I rarely see a Charger.
Correct. Unless it's a cop car.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Like
Right.
the average, I don't see too many consumers, put it that way, driving those
Yes.
cars.
Correct. So do what we do. Make SUVs, because that's what we need. We have snow up to our neck a couple
Yeah.
times a year. Make SUVs. Make family movers, soccer mom vehicles, make the minivans and the things that we need as Canadians. And just get rid of all the other stuff. But to do that means that you create a hard force into that market. And a lot of people are going to get laid off. But listen, being the number one wagon maker 100 years ago didn't stop the car from wiping out the wagons.
Right.
It's called disruptive change, and it's happening.
Disruption. That's the key word. I think one of the key words of the last 30, 40 years, disruption. Roger Dundas says Datsun equals Nissan.
Yes.
Drea Rich says Datsun, what a blast from the past.
Yes.
Mignon Camp says disability coalitions are forming to fight inadequate disability income rates, keeping people in poverty unable to afford basic needs and supports. Many are asking me to join. McMillan Group goes, gotta come down to the sunshine, brother Wayne. Camaros and Hellcats with are what brothers drive down here.
Yes, because they're rear wheel drive and gas is cheap. And if I'll drive a V8 or V10 Hellcat if gas is 79 cents a liter. But at $1.33 or $1.35, and up until last month, $1.60, it doesn't make any sense. So if you're going to have, super expensive gas, I wonder why people aren't buying these muscle cars. I mean, the nostalgia. Listen, I love the Firebird, the Camaro. There used to be a car called the Chevy Nova, the GTO. They're beautiful cars.
Yeah,
I love those cars, but not when it costs me $1,000 to fill my tank. It doesn't make any sense.
Gotcha, 100%. Fitness IQ goes, a fuel efficient car, please. Thank you that has some speed and handles pure potholes.
Right.
Going back to a little bit early here, Roger Dundas says, good morning, family. What was the question? Ray McMillan was asking how many Black Canadians won seats in the recent election. Maybe you would know. I don't know if you would or not, but we called out your name in regards to that. I'm probably saying not more than 10.
Yeah, Ahmad won his.
Hussein, yes, he won his.
And I'm sure there's a couple of guys out in the
maybe
East
in
Coast,
Quebec,
Nova Scotia, and a couple in Quebec, in the bloc as well.
So that's what we were asking about. I guess in our remaining moments, there's other things. What do you want to talk about? There's taxes and interest rates, or living on your salary versus your income.
Right. So let's look at taxes. So for everybody who is filing personal income taxes, April 30th was your deadline. Now, if you owe money, April 30th was your deadline. If you are receiving money, file when you want. You're just allowing the government to hold on to your cash longer. Remember, when you get a tax refund, the government has used your money for free for a year, not paying you a dime of interest. And at the end of the year, you get your money back interest-free. They say, thanks for letting me drive your car. And they drive your car all year long and then leave it at your driveway with no gas. And you can't be vexed. And every year they do it. So if you're getting a tax refund of more than $1,000, you need to figure out how to stop the bleeding. A tax refund is an indication that you're not optimizing your tax situation. Your accountant, will say, hey, look, you got a big refund. A big refund means I let the government run my money for a year and I didn't get anything out of it other than my money back. So what are the things you can do to get that as close to zero as possible? You don't want to be paying and you don't want to be receiving any refund. You want to be at zero for the end of the year, because that means that money that was sitting dead in the government's pocket for a year could have been in an RSP, could have been in a TFSA, could have been in buying a down payment for a home, first-time homeowner savings account. So we want to be as close to zero as possible. My philosophy is I do not want a big tax refund. It means I'm inefficient with my taxes. So if you're getting big tax refunds, holler at your boy. Let's see what we can do to get that money where it can grow rather than being in the government's hands. So at the end of the year, you got a fat RSP, but you have no tax refund because you have a fat RSP or a fat TFSA. Okay. For tax season, if you are a business owner, you've got till June. Self-employed, you got to June to file your taxes. And again, you must keep your receipts. I would look at different tools. Some people are using QuickBooks. Some people are using Expensify. I use a tool called Mile IQ where I turn it on and pay $80 a year for this thing. And I thought, what Tiefin guy? But I don't want to be logging kilometers. When I get into my car, this thing turns on and I drive. And at the end, I swipe left if it's personal, swipe right if it's business. Gives me a monthly report. At the end of the year, gives me an annual report. Send the annual report to my accountant. No one's asking me anything about my miles. Take a picture of my expenses when I go to a restaurant, dash away the paper, and I've got it there. Send all that to my accountant with the picture, letting them know it's a business lunch, who I ate it with, what was the reason for the meeting, all that good stuff. Losing receipts will cost you money. Losing receipts will cost you money. And I call this an own goal. You're scoring on your own net. You need to keep your receipts, and you need to know why. You need to talk to your accountant and find that all the information, for the most part, is available online. Hey, what can I deduct? Your accountant is saying, hey, do you have internet access? Why are you asking me this question? Hey, if you have a cell phone and you use your cell phone for business, a portion of your cell phone costs is tax deductible.
Yeah.
I'm on the internet talking to Dr. Vibe right now on my computer. My computer is tax deductible. My internet access is tax deductible, right? Every accessory I buy for my phone or my computer, because I'm using it for business, is tax deductible. To what degree is dependent on you and your accountant. I'm sitting here in my kitchen, right? I have a home office. I also have an office in Vaughan. Well, when I use a portion of my home for my business meetings, like I'm doing right now, a portion of my costs for my home are tax deductible. Now, be careful with that, because if you start taking tax advantages now, when you sell, they'll remember you. Okay, so watch yourself. But let's look at the things like our gas, our wear and tear. If you're using a car for Uber, that gas for business is tax deductible. Right? The maintenance, you do oil changes more often now because you're doing Uber Eats. Well, then a portion of that oil change is tax deductible. You need to start looking in at these things because you're probably leaving money on the table.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's why having a side hustle business that earns income, because the government, when they see you losing money every year, they're going to say, hey, what the hell are you doing? I'm not giving you any more deductions because all you're doing is trying to avoid taxes. You're not really adding any value. But if you There are businesses, what I call twin careers, that will allow you to make the extra $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month that will save the lives of most Canadians. You have another $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month coming in.
If everyone, I think everyone, most of the people who are watching this live or on replay, if you had another $3,000 to $4,000 a month, how different would your life be?
Exactly. A lot of our people in the diaspora have family in the West Indies and family back wherever home is for you, Africa, different countries in Africa. If you had an extra 2-3 Gs, you now have the ability to send money back home to your mother, your siblings, help them go to school, help your local hospital. There's a lot of things you can do, plus pay your bills off here. So it doesn't have to be all altruistic. It's about survival. We live in the second most or first, the most expensive city in this country. And if you're going to live here, between go as far east as Bowmanville, as far west as Hamilton, as far south as Niagara Falls, as far north as Barrie, that there is a good 9 million people. It's very expensive to live here. And if you're going to live here, you need something that you can be in control of. Because I remember being an employee and having someone have a whiteboard, and the whiteboard had all the names of all the employees. I was a senior manager. And we walk into that room, they called it rollout. And some people will roll out and some people will roll off.
Yep.
And you would have to defend. They put the names of all the people on that you had on your team, and you had to defend those people. If you couldn't defend it, say, Wade, listen, 2 people got to go from every team. And all the managers are in the big boardroom, coffee, tea, and donuts. And we're looking at the board and we're changing people's lives. Even the fact that she had a baby and he just had an accident or his mother's sick, gone. No empathy at all. So you're either in that whiteboard meeting making the decision or you're on the whiteboard. So I say you should protect yourself by having something that's bringing in 2, 3, 4, 5 grand on the side. So you have that 60 G's. I call it FU money. I won't explain what FU is. But when your boss comes to you with foolishness,
Yeah, you can say,
you have the FU money, you might be able to say FU. That's all I'm saying.
no, more options mean more freedom.
100%.
Right? More options mean more freedom. And with the tax season, and I think still a lot of people are not educated in regards to how the tax system works and how, if you're an employee, it works against you. If you have a business for yourself, it works for you. So Roger Dundas says, we'll find out and get back to you in regards to the information about how many black candidates won. Fitness IQ Cam says, yup. And she also says, LMAO, no gas and oil change. Also says, I need all self-employed folks to have an accounting system. Yep. And Miniam Cam says, portion of your internet is tax deductible. Absolutely. She also says CRA are clear on what items can be dual purpose for personal and business. So you have to track careful what portion is business.
Yes.
And then Fitness IQ says, I'm trying to educate folks as well. I think it's the education piece. The education,
Yeah. Fitness IQ Cam, tell us which systems are low cost and very effective to avoid audits from CRA. So what should we be using for mileage tracking? I use Mile IQ. What should we be using for expenses to take pictures of our expenses so we don't have to keep those paper receipts?
Those things come up a lot. Those sort of best resources. Actually, Fitness IQ Cam, a suggestion for you. I don't know if you have your own private group or chat, or if you want, you can share with our Discord group the best softwares for independent business owners.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we're not looking to break the bank. People pay $20 for Zoom. They pay $20 for Netflix, but they won't pay $20 for an accounting software that will save them tens of thousands of dollars in tax. I don't get it, but maybe Fitness IQ, maybe you get it, and you can help these people. When I do my financial needs analysis, by the way, it's complimentary to everybody who's on here. Complimentary financial needs analysis. When I get to the point of cash flow, listen, Dr. Vibe. Back in the day, people say, hey, cable's T-Fig. I'm off cable. Buddy, you want to see the subscriptions people have today. People have Netflix, they have Prime, they have Crave, they have Spotify, they have iMusic, they have Audible. Listen, they're dropping $100 to $150 in subscriptions and streaming services, and they still have cable. It's bizarre, and I'm saying to myself, these are discretionary.
Yeah,
no, I must listen. I got my mix. I got my personal, my playlist, and I put my playlist and I go to the gym and I do my thing. Hey, I'm not gonna hate on you if someone tried to offer me the other day Sirius XM. I said, why would I need Sirius XM? I hope for my song to come up. When I know I've got Spotify and I know my song will come up, and I use Spotify for the whole family, right? But I was, I was a Napster kid. I was a LimeWire kid. Back in the day, waiting for the government to come knock on my door and say, yo, you're T-Fing music. And I remember feeling bad because I remember I downloaded a Bob Marley song, and that's what got me off of it. I said, Bob Marley's family's not getting paid for this. I had all this black music that I had. And I said, none of these artists are getting paid for that. I had to get rid of it. I got rid of all the Napster, got rid of the LimeWire, got rid of all that stuff. And I said, I got to pay for it because these guys' livelihood is dependent on it. And they did good music. Listen, Public Enemy deserves every penny every time I play Fight the Power when I'm doing bench press, because you need to fight the power when you do a bench press, right? Or when I'm on the Stairmaster and I play Eric B. and Rakim, I ain't no joke. I used to make the mic smoke, and I'm I'm those tears.
You know what was crazy? I think it was I'll send you the link. LL Cool J did a ridiculous version of Mama Said Knock You Out at Coachella. I don't know if you heard about it.
Yeah.
With a full orchestra, and I'm just going, that's crazy. That's crazy. We have some more comments here. Fitness IQ Camp says, I'm team QuickBooks, but I know folks use Waves, but I review folks Excel, and it's more complex than you think. She says, give me until the weekend to provide that info. That would be fantastic, Fitness IQ Camp. Did that be? And then Fitness IQ Camp says Napster and LimeWire has an emoji. And then Macmillan Group says, I have an amplified digital antenna for 2 decades now. Gives me all the content I need free along with YouTube.
Exactly.
Yeah, you and my dad would go, because my dad has one of those antennas too. And like he swears by it, but he also has all these IPTV subscriptions. I'm going, oh my gosh, like, but
$15 a month for IPTV, or $200 a year, depending on what you and again, and you're saying all these you have this. Where do they have time to watch all this stuff? But if people are binging Netflix all day, they're lying, talking about they're reading books. They're not reading no books. They're going through seasons, guy. They come home on a Saturday night, and they'll go through 8 episodes, 9 episodes, 10 episodes on the Saturday night.
I know some people who do that. That is crazy. Well,
what's the last one we were?
We can fit in. Maybe we can one in quick. Well, I don't want to talk about living on your salary version, because I think that's a whole. Unless you want to, I think that's a whole conversation itself. But there's interest rates and living on your salary versus your income. Which one you want to tackle?
Let's look at interest rates. We know that we're about to go into a mild recession. They didn't drop the interest rates last month, so we're maybe holding steady where the 5-year rate for a mortgage is about 4%. Getting down to 1.2, 1.3, 1.5, 1.9 interest rates, which is what people have their mortgages on. This is where the Godfather can help us out. I don't see the fact that they didn't drop it a quarter point last month. Now the election is over and Carney has a somewhat of a mandate. I'm thinking interest rates may hold for now. We're in the spring market. Everybody wants interest rates to drop because people are trying to buy houses. We have houses for sale all over my street. All I see is bins of people doing renovations to prepare their houses to try to get top dollar for it. And interest rates help you buy more house and reduce the stress test in Canada. So by dropping interest rates a bit, you might get more people in the market. The challenge with that is people who should not be in the market get in the market when the interest rates are too low. And this is the Carney effect of the last time he dropped interest rates down to almost zero. And money was free. And people who shouldn't be buying houses bought houses. So I'm concerned that we may never see the 2% mortgage ever again.
I don't talk about the relationship between interest rates and stability of the economy.
Yeah. I have to think that higher interest rates attract foreign investment. So when someone has money outside of Canada and they look at all the places they can put their money, and Canada has high interest rates and the government is pretty stable, because a lot of people can have high interest rates, but tomorrow the country could be nationalized. There could be a coup. It's crazy. But Canada, if with high interest rates and political and economic stability, very attractive for foreign investment. Kills the locals, but very good for foreign investment into the country. Interest rates too low, fantastic for the locals, but nobody overseas wants to put any money in here. This is what the Bank of Canada is for, to figure out how low is too low to stop foreign money coming in, and how high is too high to break the backs of the local Canadians. This is the art and science of the Bank of Canada. Mark Carney did it here. He did it in England. some will say he did it well, some will say he didn't do it well. But I know this: if inflation is at 2%, your investments need to make 3% to make 1%.
Mhm.
Right? That's a real rate of return. If the market is saying interest rates are 7.8, which it was just last year, you need to make 8.8 to make 1. So when people talking to me about GICs making 2, 3, 4, 5%, but the rate of inflation is 8%, you're still losing 3%. You're losing less than you would lose if it were in a regular bank, but you're still losing. So we're not even talking about, asset preservation, because paying taxes is a choice when it comes to investing. You do not have to pay taxes when you're investing. You do not have to have the money go to your estate when you're investing. These are choices, but people don't know. So they just go and default and give the money to the government. I want people to understand that we have a nurse on here. I have a question for her. If you are single and you die 6 months after you get your pension, where does the pension go? That's a question for the nurse.
Well,
I'll sip my tea. Hang on.
okay. Well, hopefully, again, I hopefully see Nurse K is still on, and she's a pretty regular on the show, but maybe not, and we'll start winding it down. Maybe she'll answer, maybe she won't. What is up next for you in the next few weeks till we see you again on the show?
Yeah, 2 things. I'm running a healthcare luncheon for nurses who are looking at. They're going to come to a Y in the road. And the why in the road is, do I take the pension with me, or do I leave the pension with Hoop in Ontario?
Right.
The organization that does the pension for them. Do I leave it with them, or do I take it myself? The benefits of leaving with them, the benefits of taking yourself. We're going to go through that with a lunch and learn in Niagara-on-the-Lake.
Oh, very nice.
On May 14th. So give me a shout out if you're a nurse. Got to be a nurse, because otherwise it won't make any sense to you. The other event we're doing is in June, but we'll have time to talk about that on the next show. I'm doing a CFO, Chief Financial Officer, event where I'm going to have 35 to 50 CFOs. I'm going to talk to them about taxation and what they can do from a corporate investing perspective, as well as an individual investing for themselves. These are the high-powered executives, but they're T4 employees. And you know what happens to T4 employees? Maximum tax. So even though they're CFOs and they understand what they're doing with accounting, if all they have is T4 income, they get taxed at the maximum, which is 53.53% in Ontario. So we're going to show them what they can do personally and what they can do for their companies to reduce costs. So Wayne Harris Consulting is going big time.
Yeah, well, this is so Frequency of Airport says, "Hi, Wayne. Will this be in person or virtual?" He mentioned a number of different events.
Personal. Both of them are in person.
Okay. CP says CPP is directly connected to your marital status. Fitness IQ Cam says, "Shooks, tell me when the next one, Wayne. I'll tell my nurse friends."
Copy that.
And Freakin says, in-person event, when let me know if you need any printing banners, posters, etc., business cards, etc., etc., etc.
Perfecto.
Harris, you left with some good knowledge bombs. I out of curiosity, I'd love to go to, and actually, well, Mr. Harris and I are going to be in an event next week, but we're not going to tell you what it is. But I believe that you'll have some very interesting conversations with some of the clientele there.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I wanted you, because I know you love that type of marketplace.
Indeed. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
100%. Anything I can do to help you and your family. I know you got to run. As always, to you and your family, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you, Doctor. Have a great weekend.
All right. Be well. Take care. All right. Wayne is off and on his way. There's his contact information on the screen. I want to say, well, we got to do it really quick. I just wanted to get what everyone thought about today's show. So if you're watching on the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube channel, what did you think about today's show? So all you need to do is, if you're watching on YouTube, either press 1 enter, 2 enter, 3 enter, 4 enter, 5 enter, and we'll find out what you thought about today's show. All right, so just to make everyone aware, next week we will have Buy Black's Black Restaurant Week featured on Monday and Friday. Also, McMillan Group says, great events, Wayne. In-person events are extremely rewarding and profitable. Wish you success with them all. Absolutely. Fantastic to hear. All right. And let's just shut it down really quick because we all got things to do. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Family, can we get 1,800 by Monday? Please and thank you. That'd be great. Also follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Join the Morning Vibe Discord group. There's my email address, vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Click on the link you see there in the Discord group, and most of the stuff is in your comment section on YouTube and other platforms where you're watching this live. To advertise your business, product, or service on the show, please email me at vibe at the drvibeshow.com. A reminder again, Buy Black's Black Restaurant Week, May 12th, 2025 to May 18th, 2025. And there is the link. Actually, I'm going to make sure I put that in my in the comments on all the platforms just for everybody. Just want to make sure that everyone has a kick on that. So I'm going to put that there. And I wish, if you're watching on YouTube, please, I'd love you to vote. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. All you have to do is press a number and press enter. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do. But I have a feeling, okay. Upgrade. Okay. Actually, I've had more than okay. In fact, it won't. Oh, there we go. There we go. People are voting. Hello, hello. Let me just show you. And I won't get offended if you don't give me 100%. That's us 100%. That's okay. But there we go. Oh, someone says that's what the average is 4. All right. So someone's giving me a 3, giving the show a 3. Someone's giving a 5. Okay. No problem. That's okay. We just want feedback and engagement. That is the key. Feedback and engagement. All right. So we have a 5, we have a 3. Drea Rich says, what is the range of numbers? 1 is the best or 5 is the first? No, 1 is you didn't like it at all. I should have explained that. 1 you didn't like, and 5 is fantastic. And Fitness IQ, 5 is the highest. Yes, it is. 5 is the highest. I forgot to explain that at the beginning. So thank you so much. What is everyone up to this weekend? Oh, yes. Yes, you never clarify the range. I didn't do it this time. Usually I do that, Fitness IQ Cam. All right. What's everyone up to this weekend? What is everyone up to this weekend? Fitness IQ Cam says taxes, and she's a bookkeeper, so she still got taxes to do. She still has taxes to do, so she's on the go. All right. So you're seeing in real time the polling. So we've got an average of 3.7. Okay. 3.7. Okay. No problem. Thank you, McMillan Group. Great show. Appreciate that. And always put in the comments section, you know what, what I have to also do with this is I say, what opportunities are there? All right. Oh, McMillan Group has a challenging weekend. Car shows and hitting the beach. Is that the life or what? Car shows and hitting the beach. That is absolutely fantastic. Well, Ray, you enjoy it. You've earned it and you deserve it. 100%. All right. Let's clean it up. Last thing, you can watch replays of this epic conversation on the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Also, the Dr. Vibe Show No, I think just YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Afro-Caribbean Business Network on Facebook and Ryan O'Neill Knight on YouTube. That's it. That's a wrap for today's show. Thank you for taking the most important thing, your time, to hang out with us today. And let me just do this. So remember, on Monday, it's time to eat. It's time to eat. Buy Black's Restaurant Week. We're going to get prepped for it. Will you be prepped for it? I hope you are. Just taking a look at one more quick thing before we carry on. Okay. So as always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions. Aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And if you're not making money, make history. Try to do both and make it better. God bless. Peace well. Keep the faith, walk good. Tomorrow, 5 p.m., primetime Saturday with Ish and Lala, 5 p.m. Eastern. Sunday, Black Canada Talking, 5 p.m. Eastern, and then 8 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. Black Men Can Talk. I believe on Black Men Can Talk, we're going to be talking about the movie Sinners. I haven't seen it yet, but we have a number of people that are going to be joining our program who give some feedback on the movie Sinners. All right, and then Monday, we got Buy Blacks, Black Restaurant Week. God bless. Peace well. Keep the faith and walk good.
This whole thing of using your business with plant-based products, don't you think your life should reflect that too?
Juke him, Carolyn. Juke him. The family loves us here because they're saying Fitness IQ Can says put a wig on to get in.
Oh my God.
Like the ideas are just coming fast and furious here this morning. What? Okay, look at this. Global Women Ambassador. Good morning. Look forward. Okay.